All right, everybody. Welcome to MATTIEC'S Sports for You and Me. I have a very special guest today, um, Angelina Blessed. So let's get ready to talk about Muay Thai and cannabis, which is two good subjects. So, uh, Angelina, let me ask you about where it started for you with Muay Thai and all that.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for having me, Maddie. It's super fun to be here. I the whole kind of journey started about like 16 years ago when I first started doing Muay Thai. I definitely wasn't an athlete or anything like that. It was just something that I kind of felt the need to try something new and kind of put my body to a different sort of test other than just like being a bit of a party girl. So I fell in love
Mm.
with the sport. And after training for about a year, I went through some shit and ended up getting on a plane and going to Thailand and crying the whole way. It was a pretty scary journey. I guess that was like 2005, 2006, the year after the tsunami,
Mhm.
and just got to Chiang Mai and just started training and just absolutely fell in love with the culture and the people and the sport. So that's kind of where we started. And, kind of fast forwarded through 10 years of that training, my body started to kind of break down after all the competing and overtraining and not training properly and having no idea about recovery. So after I started to kind of figure that out, I started to make some butters and oils and treating myself and people that I trained with. And from there, we got quite a bit of recognition, which was really exciting. And we've been able to take the products from the illegal market, the legacy market, into the legal market, and we'll be launching across Canada in the next couple of months. So,
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure in Muay Thai land, I mean, Thailand is just the mecca of that. And I'm sure you know that obviously. So like I'm sure it takes a toll on your body. I mean, did you actually I was researching you and I was wondering, did you have a record in Muay Thai? Like a winning lose record?
yeah, I had 12 pro fights,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think it was like 9 wins. So it's been a long time. So no, I had a few knockouts, and it was a lot of really awesome lessons. I wish I could have fought more. But at the time, there were only kind of demos going on in Toronto. Muay Thai and MMA were illegal in Canada for a long time. So I
Really?
would only end
Oh,
up going to Thailand like for the winter, and I would fight while I was there. So that's usually like I would usually get about like a fight or so a year, which wasn't a lot. So, but now MMA and Muay Thai are legal in Canada. So it's definitely opened up a lot until COVID hit, obviously. But yeah.
well, it seems like you're gonna be an inspiration for, some Canadian girls for stuff like this. I mean, this is stuff that people need to see. Like, it's not just a man's sport. I mean, we see it in the UFC. I mean, we see that stuff everywhere. And Muay Thai is kind of like something that I think people would enjoy. They just don't really see it that much. Just like just like pride fighting and Bellator, like all that stuff. Everybody has it on national TV and all that stuff. I wish they would show the Muay Thai stuff instead of, I see documentaries about that stuff, and I think it should be more widespread than it is. I mean, reading articles from you, it seems like you really made a dedication to the sport, and now like with your products and stuff now, it was a blessing in disguise for you for the Muay Thai and then to join into the cannabis kind of business, which is really cool. So, um, that's me ranting, but what,
It was kind of like a long lesson, right? So I spent, you know, like 12 of the 15 years being like, I'm a fighter, I'm a fighter, I'm a fighter, and then injury after injury, and that you kind of can't fight anymore. So yeah, I didn't really know who I was going to be after that. So that comes with a fair share of depression and questioning yourself and things like that. But then being able to treat myself with the oils that I made and being able to kind of spread that love and knowledge to other athletes has been really really awesome for me. And that's also been able to give me my next chapter to the story of what my purpose is. So
right. Um, and that's my next subject is the cannabis for sure. I mean, you've been called Miss Cannabis, you've been called like so many things, and I was amazed at all the stuff you have on the blessed stuff. Like I love the train treat treat
Repeat.
train repeat. I love that stuff. Like that's really cool how your product is going like that. And tell me about the water because that seems wicked cool, man.
We just, we're really, really lucky that we've been able to join forces with a really incredible licensed producer in Canada. So we have access to some really incredible concentrates. And with that technology, uh, we've been able to infuse water, and doing drinks was something that from the black market and the legacy market, I always really enjoyed doing. We made a really great kombucha for a long time. But the water itself, just as far as being an athlete goes, just makes sense. How can we get the medicine into us? How can we get it into us in the fastest way? And how can we get it into us the fastest way without extra calories or sugar or anything like that? So water kind of made the most sense to us. So it will be one of the first products that we are going to be launching with, and I'm really, really excited about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you spreading out towards this way, like here in the United States, like Massachusetts, Vermont, anything like that?
Well, we would love to. It's just a completely different sort of like governing body of rules and regulations. We would like to take the Bless brand to the States and to the legal
Yep.
states. Absolutely. And to Thailand as well. That would be a real big dream for me. So that should all happen probably within the next 5 years, hopefully.
That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I took a trip to Vermont and I saw like all sorts of stuff I never seen. Like you have the water. They had all types of juices and stuff in Burlington, Vermont. So like
Okay.
I
And where
thought
where
that
are you located, Maddie?
I'm located in just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say I'm from Boston because I'm not.
Okay. What
I'm out,
what's the legal what's happening for legalization in Boston right now?
so that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. So the legalization part of it is you go through what we call two things. You have recreational and you have medicinal. So the recreational is a little bit different just because you're paying the state tax on the cannabis and all the products such as oils and edibles um and the flowers and stuff. Like you're paying for that. But in the medicinal part, which me myself, I have a card myself, but for that, it's no taxes, no nothing, and it's a pretty easy process if you think about it, because you go through talking to a holistic doctor or a person who is a cannabis prescribed doctor, and some people do it for back problems, anxiety, depression, all that stuff. So it's very interesting in along that case. And it's very monitored by the state of Massachusetts. So they really check up on you by, say you bought the card, what's the date today? December 8th? Yeah, I think. So December 8th, yeah, I get it today. And 6 months from now, they make sure do a follow-up with your doctor, so like you're actually concentrating and taking it serious, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we want a doctor's note and we want you to give it to us to give it to you. We're going to give it to you, but you need to give us a note. So then you'll continue with your year, and then it's $150 a year to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for me though, I think it's great just because I know what product I'm getting. I know what's gonna be entailed with it. Is it gonna give me energy for the day? Is it gonna give me like a nice calming effect, like with sativas, indicas, or
Right.
hybrids, like, but my favorite's indica. So yeah, it's a very good thing to have a bit of knowledge, such as yourself. I mean, I'd like to take lessons from you because, like, some people are just like, hey, like it's very dangerous on the street now because um, unless you know somebody, sometimes you go through a shady person, they might lace it with something. You know what I mean? Like that's the dangerous part of it. If you go through a medicinal like place, like a dispensary, I feel much safer knowing because I'm like 32 years old. I'm not gonna you know, get it off the street, like, if I don't need to. So
Yeah, we're lucky in that way is that Canada has like, we're completely legal. So there is legitimately a weed shop on like every block.
So it's like a
So
Tim Hortons every block for you.
it's a Tim Hortons. Yeah, there's going to be more weed shops than Tim Hortons. So it's a little overwhelming. The weed is slightly overpriced. I'm very fortunate that most of my friends grow. So we have really amazing access to really great flowers. So long gone are the days of back alley dime bag transactions and
Exactly,
having to worry about
exactly,
stuff like that. So I'm
exactly.
thankful.
So, and people should know that this stuff is used for, chronic pain, like everything, like your page says, chronic pain, like all different types of stuff to really make you heal. And like, this has been known. I've known people that have had really bad bouts of cancer, and this stuff helps. It alleviates the pain, like, and that's what's great. And I've talked to athletes just like you. I talked to a 4-time Stanley Cup champion who pr- produces online in Detroit. So it's great to know that people are really utilizing this in a safe way. Um, so with you, I mean, do you own your own like dispensary or anything like that, or is it just through friends type of thing?
Oh no, we Blessed is a fully legal company now, so we
Hmm.
don't have a brick and mortar location, but we will be being produced out west in BC and then being shipped across Canada. So we are we are a house of brands under the Gallery brand umbrella, and so there are 3 companies that came up from the legacy market. So it's myself and Fleur and Little Pharma, and together all of us made a brand named Kala. So all of those brands will be coming to market at the same time. So we feel like we've got a really great scope of products that we're going to be able to launch, from edibles to vape pens to a high-end pre-roll line. So
That's awesome because
yeah.
me myself, I love the vape just because like it doesn't give you a smell after, and it's just like it's just I think it's awesome the way it works, and just like the science of cannabis is just a great thing. It really is a like it's like people like you that like have an encyclopedia of how this stuff works, and like how like all right, this one is really isn't for you, but this one is for you, and that's what's good about medicinal and being at a dispensary is they'll tell you what it really does for you. And I'm just in awe of like how it all works.
There is really so much information that we do have access to. But again, it's a kind of trial and error sort of process. Like you could take like a JTK strain, and it will affect you extremely differently than it'll affect me. So, you can't say that all strains will work the same. And like some people get really elevated off of an indica strain. So it kind of depends on your physiology as well. So um, I think most people really do over consume when it comes to cannabis. So always starting slow is going to be your best kind of practice with it. I think people will get fucked up. And if that's
Right.
what you're going for, then that's one thing. But there are a lot of really other great uses for the plant.
Right, exactly. And like that's what happened to me is I smoked for so many years, and I just kept going and going and going until one point I was like, I can't, I've had it with this stuff. And
Yeah.
then that was when, like you said, like a dime bag or a quarter, like it's not even like that anymore. It's
No.
not like you're getting like you think one thing is this the greatest nugget you got. Now it's like this one, it has a THC level of this, or stuff like that. Like it's just a great thing to see. Like all the so in Massachusetts we have a bunch of dispensaries coming up. They're like, and we have a lot of farms coming up. So it's good to know that here it's starting to become a popular thing now. With you in Toronto, is it like a is it growing as big there too? Because I mean, it seems like BC is the spot to get like.
Um, BC is really different. I feel that Toronto is just a little bit more consumer as far as cannabis goes, but BC is kind of Mecca where all of the really good weed comes from. I don't know if it's the ocean air or what it is, or the history that British Columbians have in growing weed for us, but they've really got it locked down, and the quality that comes out of there is just really, really special. And I have some really amazing Torontonian growers as well that do really crazy, amazing things, but there is something just really special about the flowers that come out of BC. So I guess they would be our, like, they're our equivalent to like Orange County or whatever. So
Exactly. I was
yeah,
just gonna say California, and
yeah.
Colorado grows some good stuff too.
It's that West Coast. I don't know what you guys are doing out there, but
I don't know.
like,
We're blowing in the wind, I guess.
I'm not complaining at all. So
So in that was another question I had for you. In Thailand, is it legal in Thailand?
uh, le- um, they have just medically legalized. So there
Okay.
are shops for people with medical licenses. I was there last August when the first cannabis oils were launched into the hospitals. And that was a really special moment that I kind of never thought I saw coming because as far as stigma goes, Thailand is so far behind. They really equate it to a very evil drug. And
Oh,
so I've had a lot of really great success being able to be in the gyms and with the foreigner fighters that are there, with the Americans, with the Australians, with the Brits. You know, everyone is really open to talking about weed, and most foreigner athletes are using cannabis in some sort of form to recover at least. But you can't talk to the Thai, you can't talk to the Thai trainers about it. You know,
oh, okay.
they'd equate it to like you're doing drugs. So
Right.
it's not a conversation that they're ready to have yet, and that's okay. But I think in places like Phuket in the south, where they're a little, it's just a little bit different. Um, it I really think that the cannabis community is really going to it's going to pop up really quickly there, and that's really awesome. I'm really excited for that. I think even if they legalized even for just the tourists, they would just make so much more money. And I think when they kind of really put that into consideration, it'll be a big game changer for them, especially because of how hard COVID hit them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
how much they're going to really have to put into the recovery to get their tourism numbers back up.
Right. And I mean, people have told me about how Thailand is. They said it's so beautiful out there, and like you can ride elephants without a care in the world. Like just it seems amazing out there. And with again with you with the fighters you talk to, like do you speak Thai yourself?
Um, I've spent so much time out there that my Thai was getting really good. Now I haven't spent much time out there in the last year and a half, obviously, but yeah, like the more time you spend there, the better the language becomes. It also kind of depends where you are in Thailand. There's been a couple locations in Bangkok and a couple locations in Chiang Mai where you just don't have access to people that speak English.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you are just like thrown into it and being like, okay, we're going to sink or swim. Where places like Phuket, you can always find people that'll speak English. So, just because there's more tourists around. So you can kind of fake your way through it a little bit
So it's
easier.
kind of like going to, I don't know, I'd say like Quebec, where it's mainly they speak French Canadian type of stuff like that. Like, is there certain provinces like that
Yeah, like you go to rural Quebec, you're probably not going to find too many English speaking people, uh,
right?
but uh, yeah.
That's awesome. So, again, so with your stuff, I mean, it seems awesome that you're not just dabbling in the what was I gonna say? Um, the oils and stuff, and you're going with edibles too. And that I saw one of those chocolates that looked pretty awesome with the art around it, like red and yellow stuff. That looked wicked cool. So like it seems like that gives it a pop, like you guys are getting into that.
Well,
How
we've been really lucky to have a really great, we come from being really big food lovers. So we're surrounded by really incredible chefs, really inspired chocolate makers. Um, the chocolate is designed by a friend of mine who's one of the best chocolate makers in North America, probably.
that's
And
awesome.
the colors that you saw on that chocolate bar are reminiscent of the bright colors of monks' robes in Thailand. And when you're
Yeah,
going for your
yeah.
run in the morning, you see the bright burgundies and golds, the gold of the temples and the burgundy of the monks' robes. And it's just like a constant reminder of your path, and it's a constant reminder that you're being protected And you know, it's not just, we're not just here to get people high, and we're not just here to mess people up. It's really about um, helping people find their way a little bit, and
Right.
and that's the best thing. If somebody could have told me that, you know, that cannabis could be used for productivity, or cannabis can be used for anxiety control, you know, like 7 years ago, I would have laughed at it because all I knew was stoner stigma. And all of that changed. So I'm really thankful that all of those things can change for people, and we can use this plant to grow and continue to do so.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like you said, it was kind of taboo back in the day. It's like, oh, let's just go get high. Let's hit a bong. Let's go play video games or do
Yeah.
something like that. Now it's like, okay, like I can use this for my anxiety. Like I'm not going to feel anxious right now. And this, like, then it just calms you down in a slow way. And it's great for the medicinal purposes. And I love how it's now like an education type of thing. And I hope it gets into, like, you know, colleges and stuff like that, where like you can learn how to grow, learn how to, like, it's like people, it's like doctors learn medicines. They should have it to, like, okay, this is what White Widow does. Like they should have a college courses specializing in that, like having a degree in.
I'm sure there are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it should be like a, you know, more of an education thing than, you know, there's the street way of it. You can do a little chapter on that, and then like just the medicinal part on the other. But yeah, so my next question actually to you is, so you are just covered in tats, and I dig it, man. I think that's awesome. Did you get most of them in Thailand?
Um, no, my whole back was done in Thailand by monks over the last 15 years. So every time that you go to fight, the your trainer will take you the day before to the monks to get you blessed and kind of put on you what they feel you need. So if it's strength, if it's protection, if it's calmness, and they pick it for you. The rest were done by a really good friend of mine who's been tattooing me over the last like 20 years. So we
That's
get
awesome. You're like legit tatted up everywhere. I'm like, shit. I got a half a sleeve, and I got a couple of leg tattoos. I'm like, this
yeah,
girl's for real.
people ask me how many tattoos I have, and I'm just like,
Never. That is, to me,
wow.
that's the stupidest question. If everybody has a tattoo, you know,
I'm
like,
like, one? I have one, I think. Just
yeah,
one
I have
good
a
one.
body. I have a body full of tattoo.
I don't have, this isn't tattooed yet. This is my
Yeah,
arms. Yeah.
I'm sure that's coming.
You know what? I don't think I'll do like knees down and elbows down. I like the fact that if I was in like t-shirts and long shorts or a long skirt, you wouldn't know that I was tattooed. And it's cool because they've been for me. You know, they've always been.
It seems cool because you like, it seems like you're a model of some sort too. Like, you know, like you show off these tattoos, and it's like super cool. Like, and like for me, it's like I'm not a photogenic person, but I mean, if I could show off my tattoos all the time and I could get more, that would be sweet for me. I mean, have you been like in like Toronto magazines for that stuff, or
Yeah,
like Canadian magazines for that
we've
stuff?
done I've been on the cover of High Canada a few times. Yeah, we've done some pretty cool stuff. I've been very lucky that I have a photographer. Her name's Taylor Oakes. She's at Tiny Taylor Oakes on Instagram, and she's a little famous for photographing butts. So she
Ah,
so she took a bunch of photos of me, and they've always been really awesome. And I've been lucky that she's always caught the best side of me, you know.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Um, so I should just go back to your first time ever smoking or whatever. What was your first? Do you remember your first time ever smoking or doing anything
Um,
with marijuana or cannabis?
I was probably like 14ish. Smoked hash for the first time. Don't really remember because I think I smoked hash the first time I drank. So
Uh,
so it was just probably hot mess of a kid.
got the spins.
Yeah, probably just got the spins.
Yeah.
Then the next time would have been like I moved out to Nova Scotia when I was 16. And that was just Nova Scotia was really awesome for weed growing everywhere and mushrooms growing everywhere. And that was kind of introduction into my life with that. Um, and the weed out there was pretty shit homegrown with lots of seeds and stems that would probably just give us a bit of a headache. And that's how we were raised. But Nova Scotia was pretty big for hash, and I remember that. Um, that was always awesome and probably a preference of mine at the time. And then moving back to Toronto, I don't think I smoked weed from like 2000 to 2012. So probably that whole time I was just eating really, really carefully and training really, really hard and chicken breast and spinach and bullshit and
Yeah.
not recovering and not enough fats. And, so I burnt myself out that way. And that's when I'm like, okay, things have to change. I need to feed myself better. I need to, everything just kind of took a dive at that point. So it was just about putting the right things back in.
I'm glad you so you're on a good health regimen now too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being a female fighter, like we were kind of taught to cut weight super improperly. So
Right.
now we have a lot more knowledge how to cut weight properly. You can do it with a quick bath, but women just shouldn't be cutting weight. Like it's just not good for us,
Right.
Especially if like people still want to have kids and stuff like that. So it's really important for our cycles to be well. And when you're training too hard and not eating enough and cutting calories, it's really hard to kind of maintain that. So now we know better, and I can kind of go forward and help women. How do you cut weight? How do you do that? How do you use cannabis to recover? And it's really awesome, the group of women that are surrounding me, the incredible athletes that surround me, who all kind of push for this like face forward plant medicine kind of healing that we're all kind of taking a part of.
Right. And I'm sure you're helping the men too side of it with you
Oh,
with fighters too.
absolutely. Like probably more men than not, but it's exciting for me for when the women come forward, because there are so few of us still.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're just introducing this to fighters that, like you said, like they just get worn out and they're in pain and they don't want to take painkillers or muscle relaxers. Like
Right. And they don't want to be a pussy and take a day off. They want to, like, we're taught like take no days off, train, like go hard or go home. And that
right.
is absolute bullshit. And, you know, and I basically mentally pushed myself through that until I broke down, because
Yeah.
mentally I was like, I can do it. I don't fucking care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to take a day off. And then finally I broke a bit. I'm like, I'm going to take a day off. And that wasn't enough. So having to learn that recovery is like sits in equal parts with the training. Like you have to put as much thought into the food that you're eating and the baths that you're taking and the supplements that you're taking and the rest that you're getting. And if the rest isn't there, then everything else falls apart. If the food isn't there,
Right.
then everything else falls apart. You're not going to go back to the gym the next day and be stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah,
And that's what I see with, like, I don't know if you watch UFC at all.
a little bit. Yeah.
There's brothers, the Diaz brothers, Nick and Nate. And they're big advocates for CBD and weed and stuff. And they're top ranked fighters. I mean, like, they're showing like, hey, like, this is useful for us. We can fight at a high performance level. Like, shit, let everybody else join in on this shit. Like,
Yeah, everyone's smoking weed. I wish people would stop fronting that they're not. Like,
I know,
like,
I know, I
and
know.
I love how the Diaz brothers are quoted as being CBD advocates, when you can look at them and know that they're the biggest stoners ever. So
Oh,
like,
fucking
they
right.
can
Yeah.
drop that shit anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get high with them anytime too.
Right.
um, so what's your future plan with your I don't want to call it a brand. What's next
The
for
line.
you with the line? Yeah.
Well, we're just getting ready to launch. So over the next 2 months, we're finishing up our formulations and taste testing. We will be finishing up the branding and marketing. We'll get to design all of the apparel, and I don't want to call it swag because we're going to do some pretty cool shit. But it's going to be about just getting ready to go. And I think the most exciting thing for me is going to be for me to be in the stores. Because when you go into the stores right now, they have these massive fridges filled with chocolates and filled with drinks. And when you talk to the bud tenders about it, their explanation is this one's strongest, this one's weakest. And I want people to have much more knowledge than that, because it's really overwhelming to walk into a cannabis store, even for myself who knows a lot of shit, that like there's just words everywhere. Well, can somebody explain it to me? I feel that people, even though I understand it, when I walk in, I still want the bud tender's advice, because I want to assume that they're going to know better than what I do. And, you know, I know that I can go to my friend down the street and grab whatever. But if I can walk into the store and they're be like, yo, this person grew this person knows this about the genetics, this, you know, so it's,
Yeah.
we need everybody needs the education. And I think that's what kind of set us apart, is that we're ready to give the education. You know, when we were doing the markets in the day, it wasn't about the highest amount of milligrams. It was like, try this. This is how you take it. This is how you're going to feel. This is what you're going to get done. And people want to know about those things. So that's what's important.
Exactly. And that's for me too. I exactly want to know what it does for me. Am I going to go to sleep? Am I going to be tired, or am I going to be energetic and ready to go to work for 8 hours and
Right.
stuff like that? So when you talk about like the swag stuff, is that going to be your brand, like Blessed or something, or is that to
Yeah.
be continued?
No, that will be, yeah, we're going to do some t-shirts, some bags, hopefully some sportswear as well. You know, it's just about, I don't want it to be crap. And there's so much, you know, if you go to like the thrift store around the corner, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of like thrown out cannabis companies apparel. So I
Really?
don't, yeah,
Oh,
because we were just oversaturated in our market. So I want it to be things that people can actually use. I don't want to generate more garbage for this world, and hopefully give people a little something that they're going to want to keep in their pocket.
well, I'll give you my new logo if you want.
There we go.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, man. I mean, let's see. No, my other thing was like, again, is it harder to get like your edibles and your water and stuff shipped down to here, or is it like you have to go through the US like government,
Yeah,
or
that'd be super illegal. Yeah.
not illegal, but I mean like how what kind of process would it be to get it down here, or you have no idea?
Yeah, like that's not something that'll be able to happen for a few years anyways.
Yeah, you said like 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, I mean, if you can keep me hydrated and send some down here, that'd be awesome. Or I'd have to sneak up the border to go get it. But yeah. So my final thing to you, Miss Angelina, is when do you plan on revealing this stuff?
Revealing?
Like when are you gonna premiere all your brand? Like, what do you have a set date?
Should be starting in the next couple months. Yeah.
Next couple months, okay. Because I will definitely rep your stuff if you need.
That's appreciated very much.
But yeah, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been awesome, and I hope everything goes well for you and your brand. And I thank Jess for introducing me to you and having you show me all your cool ass tattoos, at least to up here. So yeah, I think nothing. I wish nothing but the best for you and your company, and hopefully you guys will migrate down here too. And again, if you want me to rep you down here, I definitely will for sure.
That's great.
But yes, it was very nice to meet you, and hopefully I can have you on the show again in a few months for you to give me an update on what's going on with your brand.
That'd be really great. Thank you so much for having me, Maddie.
All right, anytime. Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Stay blessed, friend. I'll see
Thanks.
you soon.
You too. Bye.